Hey guys, and welcome back to another market analysis for the month of May. Now today I have a wide variety of items and topics to talk about. I'm going to be having a look at the Bounty Hunter update, as there's quite a few pretty significant item changes, item price changes from that, and maybe even a meta change, I don't know. We're going to be looking at an anti-botting update from a couple months ago. I want to have a more in-depth discussion about the price of bonds right now because they are very, very low, as well as I'll be looking at any other interesting things happening in the market this month. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and let's get started. Okay, so to begin with here, let's have a look at the Bounty Hunter update, which I guess at this point is about 3 weeks old. Now with the update, they added in a few new items, however, not that much. The notable things here are the blighted items. There are the promissory notes for the looting bag and the rune pouch, and of course the VLS, but that's not tradable, so we're not going to be talking about that too much, as well as they notably moved the ornate Maul Handle back to Bounty Hunter. Anything else here? Oh yeah, I guess the crystal weapon seed, although I don't remember if that was there before or not. But anyway, let's have a look at a few of the new items here. Now one that has been drastically affected is the ornate Maul Handle. Previously, it was available in the Last Man Standing shop, which was heavily botted. So back in April, the ornate Maul Handle was worth about 500k. As of today, it's now worth 2 million GP, which means it has gone up about 400% in value. And if we look at the volume down here, we can see there is a pretty noticeable reduction in the amount traded per day, especially in the last week or two. And so I think we can determine that Bounty Hunter is supplying way less than Last Man Standing ever did. So I'm pretty interested to see how far this item is going to go up. This does seem like it's probably a good thing because the whole point of the ornate Maul Handle was to add risk to people using a Gmaul, but 500k is not much of a risk, but 2 mil kind of is. Now next up here we have the blighted items, and these are very interesting. Now when these originally came out, I just assumed they're going to be Bounty Hunter exclusive items and didn't really think about them too much. Yes, they are way cheaper than superstores, about 4 times cheaper, but again, you can only use them in PvP. At least that's what I thought until I watched a video by a friend, and the reality is no, you can use these for PvM too, just in the wilderness. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but it's pretty obvious. The Blighted Super Restore has significantly reduced the supply cost of doing PvM bosses in the wilderness, which I'm not sure if that was an intended change or not, but it's the way it is. Now, over the last couple of weeks, they have been fluctuating quite a lot, but they have settled at around... Hey, hold on, I never watched the last episode of Swampoletics. Oh man. Ooh, I'm excited now. They settled at around 3 or 4,000 GP. Now what's really weird here is the price that they're sold at. The Blighted Super Restore is 1,500 and the Blighted Anglerfish is 1,300. Like, that doesn't make any sense for its relative value. So I'm pretty sure they're probably going to change that a bit. It'll probably make the Anglerfish and the Manta Rays cheaper at the very least. Because if we look at those items, they're not traded that much and they're pretty much the same cost as a Blighted Super Restore, so nobody is really buying or using these items because they're more expensive than the normal version. Obviously not intended. And the same thing for the Manta Ray. Now the two other notable items here are the promissory note for the rune pouch, which looks like it's settled at around 2.3 mil currently, but 2.5 mil is kind of close to what it cost before, or at least the indirect cost of turning in the emblems and whatnot. And we have the looting bag, which is really cheap at about 15,000 right now. Pretty nifty if you just want to go ahead and buy a few of these, just so you don't have to go back and collect them yourself. And last up here we have the Blighted Sacks, which I'm going to notably talk about the Blighted Ancient Ice Sack, which really reduces the cost of using those spells. And pretty much over the last month, death runes have been falling in price, so I think that could be directly linked to the Blighted item sacks because they're cheaper than just buying the death runes, thus I think just reducing the demand for death runes, although it could be something else because death runes have so many uses outside of PvP, but that's just an idea. Okay, so one question I get asked really frequently is what is going to happen with the price of bonds? Now bonds right now are extremely cheap relative to this year anyway. Compared to last year, I wouldn't say they're exactly that cheap. But if we look back at the last year for bonds, they're actually at an all-time low, looking all the way back to May of 2019. So bond prices actually peaked in November and started to go down in December, which is a pretty normal trend. Now they had stabilized into March, however around then is when we got our giant influx of players, and it crashed even further. So is now a good time to buy bonds? Well, yeah, I would say it is. Would I make them as an investment? Probably not. And now the reason I say that is the underlying reasons for them being cheap right now, which is an increase in supply. We have a lot more players who are having a lot of time off, who are playing RuneScape. These people have maybe a little extra stimulus money and are spending it on bonds to go ahead and get some gear, get some gold in the game. So a lot of players are buying bonds, which has reduced them just in the last month or two from 5 mil to 3.5 or 3.6. So if everyone goes back to work, yes, I think the bonds are going to go back up, but we don't really know when that's going to happen. Maybe it started a bit already, but if I knew the answer to that, I would probably not be talking to you guys. So yeah, it's definitely a good time to buy a bond if you just want to play the game. If you're going to invest, can't say for sure. I think it could go either way, really. So in about 2 or 3 weeks, we're getting the new Sins of the Father update. Now, we don't know too much about which items are going to be required, except for a couple. One really obvious one is the Onyx, which we know there's going to be an upgrade to the Amulet of Fury. I don't really think the item price has been affected by that too much. I think the underlying reason for a pretty significant price change is the nerf to Zalcano a couple of months ago. That is why I think Furies are finally above 3 mil for the first time in about a year. Not to do with the Blood Fury attachment. With that said though, I think the price of stamina potions is going up as a reaction to the new agility method, because we can see when the release date was announced, they skyrocketed very quickly from around 6.5 to 7.5k. In the live stream, they didn't say exactly what supplies you would need, but they did say you would need to bring your own adventure supplies. Whatever that means, who knows. But on top of the stamina potion being needed in the agility training method itself, there's also the new chalice thing that holds stamina potion doses, which I think a lot of people are going to buy a bunch on the release day, so I would expect them to go up a bit more. Now, over the last couple of months, Jagex has been putting a heavy focus on the stability of the game, which honestly, I really commend. I think credit is due here. They've made some really good changes recently that, in my opinion, have had a very positive effect on the economy. Now, if you don't remember, about a month and a half ago, they established some new requirements that affected new accounts. They wouldn't let them trade, drop trade, PK at very low levels. That was to combat botting. Now, I highlighted in the last video that the immediate reaction was very positive, but I can say even about a month and a half later, things still look really, really good. Oak logs were worth 17 GP before this, and now they're still worth about 110 each. That is a massive change from a very small update. So once again, good job to Jagex, the moderator team, everyone there. Really do appreciate this update. I don't understand how street sweepers can be so damn loud. Just to show you that that wasn't really a fluke, we have Jugs of Water, which granted have reduced a bit more, but they're still about double what they were before. So we're still looking at a pretty positive trend there. Like, look at the last year, that is how big a difference it made. It's very noticeable and drastic. Same thing for Oak Logs, they were having around 20 GP for the last year, immediately shoot up by like 5 times. We have regular logs, which are actually continuing to increase in price. They were worth around 12 GP before, now they're worth 80 or 90. And this is ironically very good for new players, even though there are new restrictions on them. The actual ability for them to make money in free-to-play is so much higher. Like, you can just chop logs now, which is going to be better money per hour than U-Logs is probably. Okay, another one here. We have iron ore, which used to be worth around 40 before, and now is worth 135, continuing to increase every day, which is awesome because iron ore has been crashing this entire year. So on top of that update, again, they made the nerfs to Zalcano a while ago, which, while this wasn't exactly an anti-botting update, like I highlighted earlier, immediately reversed the price trajectory of uncut Onyxes. So right now I have a pretty positive outlook of the future of RuneScape and the economy, just because it does seem like things are going in the right direction and the moderator team is actually listening to the players and making positive changes. So I think we should also take a minute to appreciate the time we're in right now. Right now, unique items are at a very healthy level, even though there's no PVM update in the near future. I mean, the Dragon Warhammer is still rising up in price pretty drastically. PVM is very profitable. Bosses like Bandos, Demonic Gorillas, Vorkath, they're all still really, really profitable. Yet we have some updates that are really helping out lower level resource items. No, not everything is perfect. I mean, stuff like Zulrah and Vorkath are still like dumping out resource items. There are a ton of other things that need to be fixed. But I mean, we are getting there. Another one I forgot about, red spider eggs. That one happened earlier this year. Going from 80 GP up to 800 now, that is another profitable way to make money. Is possible to fix, and I think we are on the path to doing it. So in the background, I was just looking at a couple of very common PVM items, like, for example, we have the Amulet of Torture here that has gone up from 13 mil back in September all the way up to 19 mil almost. Bandos Godsword is on a very similar trajectory. Bandos Chestplate, same thing, going up. I mean, even the high-end items are going up. The Twisted Bow is up about 130 mil from February. The Scythe of Viter is also up about 130 mil. So across the board, PVM items are going up. And again, I think the reason for that is just a massive increase in demand. Probably will go away eventually, but I'm just going to try to do as much PVM while I can. Anyway, guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, I would appreciate it if you leave the video a like, and I'll see you next time.